Welcome to the Ladies of Vantage Point. My name is Serge.
I'm Alexa.
I'm Natalie.
And today we have a special guest with us, our girl, Michelle Washington, who is actually the CEO of Women of More. She is an ambassador, an advocate, but most importantly, she is an amazing sister. She happens to be my dearest friend, my bestie, my sister. So we're so excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
But on today's show, we're going to talk about communication.
Yeah. Communication is, boy, that's something. It's multifaceted. Mm-hmm. You know, there's all types of communication. There's verbal, nonverbal, microaggressions, we're hearing a lot about microaggressions, the things that we do that's communicating something. And I forget the data, but we know most of our communication is nonverbal. But we really want to talk about how do we communicate what you want. And if you've been in my life for 5 seconds, you would know that one thing that I'm super, super passionate about, especially in my education career, is that we have to use our voice. I believe that for our students to be successful, they need to learn how to successfully use their voice on a campus, right? Because, at some point in my life, I learned I didn't have one. I lost it, even in my marriage, lost my voice. Voice is important, and communicating is important, right? So what are your thoughts? How do we communicate to people what it is that you want?
I know one thing that works for me is you got to be so solidified in what you want first in order to convey, in order to communicate that. Because I know for me, on a personal note, I had difficulty communicating. I would communicate with, not verbally, but with body language. But also what I would give off as far as a vibe. Yeah, and your nonverbals speaks very loudly.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what used to happen to me. I used to concentrate so much on what I was saying, and I was making sure my words were right, my points were right, and I was assuming people were listening to what I was saying. They were watching all of this. They were watching my face, my expressions, and my girlfriends would come up to me and they would say, this was our symbol. All right here.
So if you don't know, that means fix your face.
It's like you're in a meeting or something, and someone is saying something, and I'm like not feeling it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, yes, team player, I'm good. My face is saying, no, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Stop it now.
Actually, Serge tells me that all the time. Like, I'm saying something, but my eyebrows are speaking a different language, and I do it all the time. But let me tell you, one of the things that I had to work on within myself in regards to communication, I'm talking in my head, but I'm not actually saying it. So if in certain relationships and situations, in my mind, I'm talking, I'm saying all the things that I want to say to you, but I don't say it. And sometimes it causes frictions in relationships, or telling my team something, but I really didn't tell them. So they're looking at me and I'm asking for something and they say, you didn't tell us. But in my mind, I actually said it.
Yeah.
So
you know what goes along with that?
What's that?
Because this is crucial. I think that may be the number one thing, at least for me, is speaking up. Because you're not there to be a potted plant. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're there, show your value and speak up. So speaking up, but then also speaking the same thing to everybody. I think that's one thing that we miss collectively as a group. It's kind of like this one may know something, that one may know something. In a group setting, a lot is not said. Sometimes you have those kumbaya moments, those kumbaya meetings, and a lot goes unsaid.
And then we're holding people accountable to something that we never gave voice to.
That's right.
Or put a label on. And we're in our internal turmoil because they're not responding to what we said or what we're demanding.
But wait a minute now, do you find that some women do this often, especially in relationships? We'll say we'll get in certain arguments or spats because we're saying to the other person, you should know what I want, but you didn't say anything. So how do we correct that as women, especially to voice? What is the payoff? Because a lot of times who we are now is what we have always been.
I like the fact that you use the word payoff because I always say, there's a cost of what we do and don't do. There's a cost to what we say and don't say. I can speak to what it costs when you don't say anything, right? And you get lost and you lose your voice. And I thought it was kind of poetic. I'm like, wow, God, what a tremendous lesson that I spent a 20-year career in higher education telling people, use your voice, use your voice. But in my personal life, I lost it. I completely lost it, and there was a tremendous cost to that. So in a new season, I'm looking forward to learning the payoffs. But I'm also, in addition to that, what I learned is you can be unapologetic about expressing what it is that you want to express or what's going in, but you have to find the right time. You got to pray on the right moment and lace it with some love and some grace. But I think it's okay to give yourself a voice and express it.
Why is it that we don't, though?
Yeah.
Like, what's under that, but we don't naturally speak up?
One of the things I believe, one of the concerns that we have if we have difficulty communicating is because we're afraid that we're going to get a backlash. Some people are just not confrontational, or confident enough to say, well, this is what I believe in and this is why. Because one thing I've learned is that if you're not communicating effectively, you're not communicating. If that person is not understanding your position as to why you're saying what you're saying. But here's the thing. Also, what are you looking to get out of that? Okay, you said A, B, and C, but what is the outcome? What are you looking for? And if you don't know that yourself, then you're not going to communicate effectively. That person's going to walk around like, well, I'm totally confused.
And you know, with that, because what you're saying, you're asking, why don't we? And I think it goes back to that little girl. Sometimes we're not taught that our voice matters. Then secondly, if we're too expressive, keep quiet. You talk too much. So in all of that, we're changing the what?
The narrative.
Of who we really are, because someone is being
Passive?
whatever. It's giving us feedback about who we are. So now we're changing and pivoting to someone we're not. So what happens is, if we don't have someone along the way to say, hey, you matter, let me hear from you, say it, speak it, then we are still behaving based upon what someone said to us. Quiet down.
That's right.
You too much.
You know, a couple of things you all said. You know, language is important. Safety. Why don't we feel safe? You know, and there's this hot topic in leadership development and building inclusive cultures in the work environment, which is, you know, we can apply it to our personal, but it's called psychological safety. How do we achieve psychological safety, and what is happening that says to us that we're not safe? So when you talked about that fear of speaking up because I am, you know, let's say, this is a very common thing. A lot of black women in particular, you know, they don't like to speak up in particularly a corporate environment or even sometimes in a social environment because of the fear that the identity with black women is that we are expressive and emotional and aggressive and all these things and angry. And so you silence yourself. So, you know, that's called an identity threat. And what can that corporate environment or that social environment do to make that particular woman, in this case it's a woman, but it could be anybody, feel psychologically safe?
You know, I believe some of the concern, well, what I've seen, I know I can speak this for, you know, from my perspective, I never wanted to feel like I was the dumbest person in the room. So if you're talking about a topic I'm not necessarily well versed in, I will stay really quiet because I'm afraid, like, oh my God, if I say I don't understand, then you're gonna judge me as, oh, she's just an idiot. No, you may be well versed in an area that I may not necessarily be in, but vice versa. Do you see what I'm saying? But one of the things I've learned to do when I don't understand, I say, well, let me say this back to you. Giving an opportunity for you to give me some more information, give me some more background, to find my way. That's really my way of saying I'm not following you. Break that bad boy down.
You know what? It's a classic thing too when people don't ask questions because you don't want to seem like you're the stupid one in the room. And it's funny because when you push past that barrier and you're the one that raises your hand and says, well, excuse me, let's talk about this again. You know, and you basically ask a question afterwards. 4 people will come up to you and say, man, I'm so glad you asked that question. I didn't understand that either. And so it's one thing is just to understand, one, your own importance, and to realize that the people in the room are not as so great and on a pedestal, so smart, have it so together, and we think that they're so high and we're so low. And just level the playing field and realize that you're just as important.
That's right.
You are enough. When you walk into that room, you are enough.
Confidence is key.
I was getting ready to say that because you started off by saying that. It's all about self-awareness.
Yes.
And that happened to me until I became aware of myself, identifying my weakness, identifying where I needed to change and adjust in my life. It's when I became confident to say, wait, whoa, my voice does matter.
Yeah.
What I have to say is important, and not to this small portion of or the circle that I'm attached to, but to the world. Because that's why we was created, not for our circle, not for just our career, but we were created for the world. The Bible says, and I'm not going to preach to you, but it's on me right now. Here we go.
I got my
The
dollars
Bible
ready.
says, go into the world. And sometimes we get so stuck by going to our circle, by going to our workplace, by going to our community. It's the world that we are needed. You know, so, but it happens when we become confident with ourselves. And that's when, man, I'm telling you what, man. There it is. When you are confident and you know what you know about you, your communication is out of this world. Now, listen to this. I was at a conference the other day, and I gave my spiel, and it was amazing. And then I opened it up for questions, right? So I'm talking to the lady, and she had a question. She said, so my topic was, how do you change your employees and followers into brand ambassadors? So she positioned a question. I answered the question. And then she said, I said, did you, because I could see her face was saying something. I said, did I answer? She was like, not really. And I was like, I'm like sweating over here. And you're saying, not really. But the more, and I said, and I was okay with that because I knew who I was.
Right.
So I said, well, tell me more. And when she told me more, then I was able to give her the right answer. But in that, when you're communicating, you have to be okay with not being understood because you're speaking to different people with different, what you call it?
Because backgrounds and
influence,
perceptions.
different vantage points.
Yes. So you got to position in a way that they understand.
What I love about what you said, and this is like key, is that introspection, looking at yourself, owning who you are, because I think sometimes we can get lost in what other people are doing and what other people are saying, and I don't know why I keep defaulting back to that corporate environment, what they're doing because I'm this. Okay, we know what they're doing, right? This is systemic, this is big, it's, you know, it took hundreds of years to create that. What can I do? What can Natalie do? What can Alexa do, or Michelle or Serge do to change, right? And I think a good start is looking inward and saying, you know, is it me? Why am I not confident? And how do I navigate this space? We have to own it too.
Totally agree
We
with
have to
that.
own it.
And it's so funny, from a personal perspective, my greatest feedback was always, you know, Serge, you don't say much because I'm constantly processing. Because I have to formulate, okay, why do I feel this way? Well, why does he say that about me? Well, why does she think that way about me? Because I have to compartmentalize everything, and then to your point, own some things. Like, well, maybe I do have that issue where I don't communicate, because I expect you to just know what you need to do and just do it. No. And I had that difficulty, especially in a relationship with my husband. His biggest thing was, you don't say I'm sorry. I said, I do say I'm sorry. I communicate it, but I communicate my I'm sorry differently.
So it's a language thing.
It's a language. No. He's
People have a
looking
different
for, I'm sorry. I was wrong when I said A, B, and
That's
C.
what I'm saying. Shouldn't you say that in your
But
communication?
not always. So my way of sorry was, I'll fix you a nice meal.
So what is
I
it about
will
you?
organize your
That's not
closet.
That's
but you're
an
not
issue.
asking
But
for you're not asking for
I'm not saying
forgiveness.
that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm right. But to me, if I'm looking at him like, I just fixed you this grand meal.
ask for it.
I look good for you tonight. I mean,
wants
I'm
you to
hooking you
acknowledge
up.
him.
What's the problem? He's like, I want to hear those words.
That's exactly how I am.
Well, don't you want
Because
that?
it brings clarity.
Honestly, he doesn't have to say I'm sorry. But if you give me a nice car, you know.
That's not
But
true.
doesn't it
No,
bring
no,
clarity?
no.
But doesn't
But-
it bring clarity? Like if the issue is why did you drop the pen? Doesn't it bring clarity? I'm sorry, I dropped the pen.
Right.
Not I made you dinner.
I get
Night
it.
and day.
I mean, to
Again,
me, it's like
I didn't
you know.
say it, but the thing is, when my husband would do something that really irritates my soul, and he would he will couple that with doing something really
Did you
sweet.
say he irritates your soul?
I know, that's a lot of power.
Yeah, no, because sometimes we get into it. Believe it or not, we get into it.
Oh, no, I get that. No,
All
I
right.
mean, life is life.
And then the thing is, he would couple that with something really beautiful, something that I love to do. I know within myself that's his way of saying, babe, I screwed up, I'm sorry.
So he doesn't say sorry either?
But see,
But what I'm saying, not always.
but you make it
Always.
about you. Like if it's about someone else, I think we should consider doing it in the way they need it,
Right.
in the language that
Right.
they
That's
need.
right.
It's
But what
about
I'm saying to you,
communication.
but what I'm
That's
saying
right.
to you is, he requires those words. But when he would act differently, or he'll clean up the house, which is definitely one of my love language, actually clean up after himself, I'm thinking, oh, he's being super nice because he knows he screwed up, and I will back off. Do you see what I'm saying?
But that works for you.
But that would work for me because he knows, okay, I screwed up with her. But I realize that doesn't always work.
Got you.
So I had to learn. He was like, you never say I'm sorry. It's like, actually, I do. It's just not in the way that you want me to say, to do
But
it.
you
and convey it.
understand now it's not about you, it's about the other person.
I
what they
get
need.
that. I get that. Like, I give you grace all the time when you make me mad.
See,
That's my way of saying
all
I'm
these
sorry.
nonverbals that, this is communication. I don't know a better way to illustrate multiple layers of communication, but this was good. This was a really,
I was trying to
really
be
good
nice
start.
because I'm a guest. So I'm gonna let some things pass.
Yeah, no boxing gloves out here, but this was great.
This is really good.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
love
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
So we're talking about communication. This is our vantage point. We want to hear from you. Like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and send us some questions about communication. But we have some questions that came in right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about those.
Yes, well, I have a question from Lois. Oh, Lois, I feel you. Check this out. All right, my husband makes plans for things, particularly into places I don't want to go. But when I tell him I don't want to go, it causes an argument. It was said that I'm being ungrateful. How do I tell him what I want? From Lois, not sure what to say. I'm gonna leave this alone.
You don't talk the languages of love. I think that's a good starting point. Love languages. I mean, we talk about this over and over again, and I think love languages are important in any relationship: husband, wife, child, parent, child, employee, employer, even dog and master, right? But if you don't know about the love languages, this is Gary Chapman's book. There's 5 of them. I think we need to explore how other people speak and how you deliver. I don't like this is the way you do it. So I mean, we don't know what it is for Lois, but you do have to give it voice because if you don't, like we said earlier, if you don't put a label on it, then you cannot expect your husband to make an adjustment.
I think also, Lois, because you're saying that he feels like you're ungrateful. Well, facts. You are ungrateful. I mean, you're ungrateful for, if I don't like red roses and you give me red roses, I'm not grateful for the red roses.
That's not what
Those-
she said, though.
Isn't that what she said?
She said
he
that-
said he feels like
That I'm being.
ungrateful.
But that doesn't mean that
so
she is.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Let me finish my thought. My thought was, he's saying you're ungrateful. You are ungrateful for something that you don't want, that you clearly said you don't want. That makes sense to be ungrateful for something you don't want. What you are grateful for is the attempt to please you, for the attempt to be nice to you, for the show of love. You're grateful for that. So I'm making a distinction. And I'm just saying, Lois, if you can show him, I'm grateful that you tried to please me. I'm grateful that you tried to do something for me. But I'm making a distinction. The actual the place you didn't want to go, etc., was not the thing. And if you can show him that, because most people respond better when they know that you care. So he might respond better to the idea that you don't like the place he chose if he knows that you appreciate him and the fact that he's trying. So that's the distinction I'm making.
Yeah.
But in reality, how are you going to be grateful for something you've told someone 10 times?
I'm with it.
Because
I'm with it.
it could be.
I mean, you understand what I'm
Totally,
saying?
because I've been in that situation before, where at first, this is glamorizing, but after a while, this ain't about me. It's about you.
Yeah.
And if you really want to fill up my love tank, this is what does it: pump my gas, clean the dishes. That's my love
But
language.
also, it's about truth. It's like, because
Yes.
frankly, to me in a marriage, you don't want to play patty cake all the rest of your life.
Totally.
Right.
You don't want to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, when you really hate it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
down the road, you're going to be like, I am sick and tired of saying thank you for this kind of crap. I'm not doing it anymore. And that little thing that happened 5 years ago is going to be some major thing 20 years from now. So what I'm saying is, let's not play patty cake. Be honest in your communication. If you're not, I wouldn't say the words I'm ungrateful for it, but I would say, I don't really particularly appreciate this because I don't like red roses.
Yeah.
So
I love the fact that you're thinking about me though.
So let's go to the other side of this question, because, and I'm sure you all can relate to this. Sometimes men, their ego is bruised when you don't like what they do. It's almost a sign that you're rejecting them. And she's trying to find out, how do I communicate to my man that I appreciate what you're doing, but this particular thing isn't what I really want? Because I believe, and just me, I think men are more sensitive than we are as women.
They're very-
so
they are-
how
they
do
are.
we convey it to a man that, you know,
You
babe,
just said
timing.
it. Stroke their ego. You got to stroke them.
but stroking
You gotta
doesn't
stroke
always
them.
fix
I don't
the
know.
problem.
Wait. You got to listen. You got to stroke the man's ego, and then definitely communicate what you want. But you also got to give him what he wants. I'm telling you, Lois, I am you. I get it.
But if he's doing it for you, why does it got to be? That's the problem.
But that's the thing. You both have to find
So-
that happy medium. Okay.
So check it out. If he's giving you red roses and you hate red roses, what I would do is in public praise him. And I would say, he takes care of me. He's so good to me. He does this to me. So major in the majors. Feed the behavior that you want.
Say that
Ego.
again.
And the
Majors.
major in the majors, and feed the behavior that you want. So if you want him to continue to doing nice things for you, taking you out, whatever it is, then say, I love how he takes me out. He'll be turned on by that. He'll be charged by that. He'll feel appreciated by that, especially if you do it publicly.
Right.
But privately say, instead of going to Denny's again, let's go to, and show him the Ritz-Carlton that he's never been in
Or
before.
maybe
Look.
you plan it. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you should plan it.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's
she
good.
wants him to do something for her. So
He
why?
is. He is doing some things.
Okay.
So Serge says stroke his ego, stroke something else. All right, we're gonna, there's something else wrong. But gross, my parents are
know it was
watching.
that type of
Okay,
show.
we have another question. We have another
I am a
question.
woman.
So
I don't want to
this
say it anymore.
This question is from Natalie. Hey girl, you got a good name. So Natalie says, I've been dating a guy for about 6 months and I really want to tell him that I love him. But is it too soon? This is Natalie. Do I wait or do I confess my undying love for this man?
Oh, Natalie.
Natalie.
Oh, Natalie.
Crickets?
Nobody.
Well, I'll say this. I'm a reader. I like to read, and you know, I've researched this once. I'm a researcher too. Y'all know that, right? And I think some psychologists suggest that, you know, at certain ages, you know, different things. You know, 2 to 3 months is appropriate. But I think it's not a time thing. It's a heart thing, you know, and you got to really pray on it. Like, you know, you can feel it, but I'll say no, but. In addition to that, consider this. Look at the fruit of it. Is it, you know, was your love tank so empty, and now that it's being filled up a little bit, are you getting lost in the sentiment of I'm in love with this person, or is it really love? And, you know, I heard a woman say a long time ago, she said, you just have to give time. You know, and you'll know. You'll know when. You'll know when.
But you said something that was key. You, as women, we could sense things, and I think don't operate in fear. I like give time. Definitely give it some time. 6 months is still fairly new, but you could sense if a person is really feeling you or not. You really can. You could sense just based on the actions behind the words, and especially if he's giving you, you know, quality time, if he's flying in or going above and beyond to see you and all that good stuff. Oh, he's showing you I'm in it to win it.
But something else to consider too is it's kind of like what you said, like it's in my head. Like at some point we have to give voice to it, because you also want to make sure that you're on the same page. You can be falling in love with someone and their intention might be something completely different.
But can I
if
say
we're not
this?
open about it,
Does it matter if the other person say it back? Because if I would say to Natalie, say, if you feel like you want to say I love you to the dude, say it.
I'm sure Natalie's probably afraid of rejection.
But this is the thing.
That's the point.
It is important, but if you sense that you want to say I love you, then say it without the expectation. That's the hard part, without the expectation for that other person to say it back to you. Because it's something you are feeling. This is something you have acknowledged within yourself that I love this guy. Say it.
And with that, be prepared for a range of reactions.
Right.
Because he might say, I love you back.
He may
He
not.
might not. It might go south. And then the other thing is sometimes in relationships, just to be honest, people can say I love you back just because you said it and they don't really feel it. And then you've got this false thing going on.
Right.
And my thought is just that there's a sense when you're vibing together and it's kind of like when this relationship is going forward and it's like we're on the same page. We're on the same page. You might want to wait, this is just my vantage point, you might want to wait until you feel like we're really on the right page because that'll give you more safety emotionally in terms of the reaction that you're going to get.
That's the word, safety.
Yeah.
Because if she's contemplating, should I, should not, which way should I go with this? It's because in the back of her mind, there's a doubt. There's a doubt, Nat, that maybe the feeling is not mutual. So I would weigh it out a little bit. That's just my vantage point.
Who say yes? She should say it. Who say yes?
I think I don't like
Who say no?
I don't like to say yes or no with the 6 months.
Who's don't know?
It just depends.
I say
depends.
wait.
I'm gonna say yes, girl. Say
I
it.
say-
I say
I
wait.
know it. Just
Natalie,
know
wait.
I
Just
say,
wait.
I say wait until you're
But
comfortable.
what are we waiting
The fact-
for?
until she's comfortable.
She loves this
until
dude.
But
she's
she's not- but
comfortable.
there's a doubt.
If she's
If there's a
comfortable, then
doubt.
she can go ahead and say it, and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like you're saying, it doesn't matter about the backlash or the positive reaction, as long as she's comfortable. The
And-
fact that she's asking means she's not comfortable.
And there's a doubt for a reason. And it could be
That's
it
good.
could be you.
Exactly.
It could be you. You could be
That's
just
where I
being
was gonna
insecure.
go to.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to weigh that out. Or there's a doubt. Maybe the feeling is not
Sometimes
mutual.
We wait
That's why I
for
say
the man
wait.
to say it first.
I get it.
So
Yeah, you don't
I
have to
get
wait
it.
for the man to say
Yeah,
it
you
first.
don't.
Yeah,
That's
you
not
don't
what
wait
we're
for that.
saying. I'm saying if there's a doubt, then fall back.
Yeah. Well, we've got one other question. All right, this is coming from Gina. And Gina says, how do I convey what I want or what I need without coming across as an angry woman? Gina wants to know, how do I convey what I want or what I need without coming across as an angry woman?
This goes back to that identity threat that we were talking about earlier. What's your name, Gina?
Gina.
One of the things, I mean, it's unfortunate, but there are rules to this game, and I get it. I had to play it for many, many years, and it's learning it. So sometimes I had to be super, super intentional about being expressive, but like inside I might be feeling this, but you have to, your delivery is different, and even your word choice is important, and you really, unfortunately, don't feel safe in this particular environment. So after you express yourself, I would absolutely talk to senior management if it's a corporate thing. Did she say?
She didn't say.
She didn't
didn't say.
say. Yeah. Well, it goes back to what we've been saying.
Well-
Give yourself a voice.
And you know what? When I process your question, Gina, you said, well, without sounding angry. So obviously, there's been situations where you've been given that feedback that you come across a certain way. You need to do a serious self-audit, because why would you say, well, how do I convey this without sounding angry? So just do that. But the question is, why are you coming across a certain way? What is it? What's going on here that comes out? So like my husband, actually, it's not just my husband. I've heard this feedback before, where I've been told that you sound so aggressive when you ask a question. You're shaking your head because
Yeah,
you're
I
giving
get
me that feedback.
No, I got that too.
Yeah, you come across like, And honestly, I don't think I'm coming across aggressive. In my mind, I'm asking you a question or I'm making a statement. Now, you may sense my passion
That's it.
behind that.
That's it.
But to some people, it may come across a certain way. And I'm going to be very honest with you. Sometimes I can't worry what everybody thinks as long as you understand my position. But if you're getting that feedback from multiple people, then I have to fall back and say, well, Serge Marie, why am I coming across so aggressive? Why am I coming across so short? Because there are times it might be passion. Maybe that's how you convey passion. Well, let's find a different avenue, you know, to come across not as threatening.
Yeah, but the other side of that, and it's not necessarily in Gina's defense, there is such a thing as implicit bias, right? And hidden biases. And implicit biases live under the subconscious level, right? And it's associations, and it's shaped by our experiences. So, for example, if I say peanut butter, what goes with peanut butter?
Jelly.
Right? Also, if I say criminal, what's the first thing you see? A black man, right? Or that's what a lot of people say in a lot of studies like that. If I say peanut butter, you think of jelly, but in my head, I'm thinking about celery, right? So for Gina, sometimes, right, sometimes, you know, she could be combating an implicit bias situation. And the fact is, we all have them. We all have them. There's microaggressions. People say things that are discriminatory and they don't mean it, or they do. No, actually, microaggressions are more subtle, right? But then there's overt aggressions. Either way, we don't know enough, but I'd consider both sides. You know, am I in a situation where there's an implicit bias that's actively at play in my face? Or Serge, like you said, is this something about me? Because if everybody's saying I look like a duck and I quack like a duck, I just might be a duck.
I might be a duck.
Right? So there's two sides to this.
I would say, Gina, that maybe it's whether you like it or not, and whether it's fair or not, sometimes you do have to go the extra mile to make people feel comfortable. And so if you want them to hear your message, to hear what you want or hear what you need, sometimes you got to go the extra mile. So basic things like just put a smile on your face when you say it. Think in terms of this is a win-win situation, not like I gotta get what I need from this person. Just those basic kind of things that kind of frame your face and make it softer, frame your voice and make it softer sometimes. But I do understand. I totally get understand.
This was good.
The two things that I do, and I've been told I get away with saying a lot of stuff, and I really don't. It's just, no, I don't. I just understand my audience. So I have to make sure my tone is right, and I allow my personality to speak through those tough conversations, whether it's a team, whether it's serving in the church, either when I'm at a conference or something like that. I speak according to my audience, and that has been very helpful. So when I'm talking about the hard stuff, my personality softens it up. You know?
You have a way of giving people feedback in such a way it's funny. I wish I had that gift because I'm very direct, but you make it light. It's hard, but it's light, which is really good. Which is awesome. Very good.
Well, I think that we have done a really, really good show. I have so enjoyed this, just having the feedback from different people. We want to hear more of your vantage points. We want to hear what you're thinking. We love the questions that you're sending in, so keep doing that. And like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just remember that we're here for you. So we just expressed our vantage point.
What's yours?